Have you ever wondered how someone gets a job as a professor for life? It's a pretty wild professional journey, and honestly, it's unlike almost any other career path out there. So let's dive into the pretty intense world of academia and figure out what it really takes to land one of those permanent spots. So, yeah, this is the big question, right? And the answer is all wrapped up in a process that people call the professor's journey. It's all built around two key concepts, the tenure track and tenure itself. And we're going to break down exactly what those terms mean.
All right, so every journey has to start somewhere. For academics who are hoping for a long-term career, that starting line is something called the tenure track. This is where the climb really, truly begins.
Now, the most important word to hear in that definition is probationary. This is not the forever job. Think of it more like a really, really long audition for the forever job. It's this high-stakes evaluation period where a professor has to prove beyond a doubt that they've got what it takes to stick around. So what does this climb actually look like? Well, I can tell you it is definitely not a casual stroll in the park. It's a super rigorous ascent where your performance is constantly being measured against some incredibly high expectations. You're basically expected to run a gauntlet. You have to juggle 4 huge responsibilities all at once. You've got to publish important research, you need to be a fantastic teacher, you're expected to bring in funding for your work, and you have to contribute to the university community, by serving on committees and things like that. It is a massive, massive balancing act. And how long does this whole intense audition last? We're talking about 5 to 7 years. Just think about that for a second. That is a huge chunk of your professional life spent just trying to prove that you deserve to keep your job. It really shows you the kind of endurance this whole process demands. So after all that time, after years of juggling all those different demands, everything, and I mean everything, comes down to one single moment. The professor goes through this massive review by their colleagues and the university's top brass. It is the final judgment call on whether or not they've met the incredibly high standards to get that permanent position. So what happens if you actually make it through that multi-year climb? Well, you've reached the summit, and that summit has a name. It's called tenure. It's the final destination of this whole journey. And there it is. Tenure is that permanent role you earn after you've passed the probationary test. And the two magic phrases here are job security and academic freedom. This is the ultimate prize. It's the whole reason for that long, difficult climb. Let's just unpack these benefits for a second because they are absolute game changers. First, you've got job security. A professor with tenure can't just be fired without a very good reason. Second, there's academic freedom. This lets them research and teach controversial subjects without worrying about losing their job. And finally, tenured professors get a much bigger say in how the university is actually run. These 3 things are why that climb is considered worth it.
Okay, so we've seen the path and we've seen the destination. Now let's put them right next to each other to make the difference between being on the tenure track and having tenure crystal clear.
At its very core, the difference is actually this simple. The track is temporary, it's probationary. Tenure is permanent. One is all about proving yourself, and the other is the state you're in once you've been proven.
And this breakdown really shows you what a fundamental shift it is in a professor's life. I mean, look at job security. It goes from basically zero guarantee to rock solid. That 5 to 7 year countdown clock, it just disappears. But maybe the biggest thing is the focus. It shifts from that constant, intense pressure of proving you're good enough to the much more stable responsibility of simply maintaining your excellence. It is a complete change of mindset.
So why? Why go through all this? Why have this long, exhausting system in the first place? Let's zoom out a little from the individual story and look at the actual philosophy behind the entire idea of tenure. At its heart, the whole system, the job security, the permanence, all of it, is really designed to protect one single core principle: academic freedom. But what does that freedom actually look like in the real world?
It means a scientist can publish findings that challenge a powerful company, or a historian can teach about uncomfortable parts of our past, and they can do it all without risking their career. At the end of the day, tenure is supposed to be a shield that protects the search for knowledge, no matter how unpopular or controversial that knowledge might be.
So, if you only remember one thing from all this, let it be this simple idea. The tenure track is the tough pathway you have to walk. Tenure is the permanent destination you're working so hard to reach, a destination that comes with some really powerful protections.
So now we get the why behind the system. It's there to protect free inquiry. But it leaves us with a pretty big question. Is a really stressful multi-year trial period the absolute best way to encourage creativity and bold new ideas? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.